he takes and scores! And that was a superb example of his skill.
Diagonally, Walker's round the back, lays it off, Foden hits it! That is a quite magnificent goal.
Here's Haaland, and there is goal number 3. Haaland joins in the party. He's picked this one up inside the box, goes for goal, and he finds the net.
Bruyne, oh, he's found a brilliant hat-trick.
This is absolutely extraordinary.
Foden, Matheus Nunes, this is terrific. Haaland, what a goal! What a goal! If the first goal was superb, the second might just have edged it.
Foden on the back heel to Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne's ball in! It's the opening goal of the game, just 55 seconds in. Jack Grealish scores for Manchester City. It's a dream start for the boys in blue. Someone tries to help that down the line. Here's come to Haaland. His first touch of the match, and Haaland goes for goal. Haaland scores! 2-0 to City. It's in towards Foden. Oh! Phil Foden adds to the scoring.
E a sua estreia, que foi agora, essa semana, num jogo da Champions, você estreou na Champions. Como que é essa sensação assim de entrar e já ser um grande jogo?
A gente está preparado já para entrar em qualquer jogo, se quero ser sincero. Assim, é maravilhoso, eu só quero jogar. Qualquer jogo que seja da Champions, da Premier League, da Taça, eu quero jogar porque é isso que eu amo e é onde eu estou mais feliz. Estou muito feliz por estar aqui, o que importa é que a gente ganhe, mas eu estou muito bem, fui muito bem recebido, já estou-me a ambientar muito bem, então estou muito contente.
Ó, aqui, Matheus, você tem que pôr a luva. E aí ele vai abrir o forno, você tira, muito cuidado também porque está muito quente. E eu quero te perguntar uma coisa. O que mais você sente saudade da comida, tanto do Brasil ou de Portugal?
Esfirra.
Uma esfirrinha de carne ou de queijo?
Queijo catupiry.
Ai.
Tá bom?
Você que vendia lá na outra padaria, né?
É, agora que a gente fez tem que vender, né?
Então bora? Vamos lá. Vem cá.
Quem quer pastel? Olá, tá tudo bem?
Quem quer pastel de nata?
Quer pastel de nata? Quantos? Um?
Ele aqui com nossa daqui, ó. Obrigada.
Espero que goste, hein?
Obrigada.
Nada. Bom dia. Obrigado. Também quer um? Tamo aí. Valeu, garoto. E aí, amigo. Bom dia, hein? Obrigado. Tamo aí. Valeu, garoto. Mais alguém quer pastel de nata? Pastel de nata. Aproveita. Obrigada. Nada.
Hora da verdade, obrigada por ter ajudado a gente. Agora provar o seu pastelzinho de nata, ver se tá bom.
Muito bom. Muito bom.
Quando quiser um emprego, pode vir aqui.
Tá bom.
Combinado?
Obrigado.
Obrigada, Matheus.
Tava muito quente.
Muito quente.
Queimou a língua?
Não, quase que eu queimei.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live here from Molineux Stadium. The Blues are looking to make it 7 wins in a row in the Premier League, a feat which has only been matched on 2 occasions. The Brollies are out, the rain is here, but so is Darius Vassell, a man who knows the club so well that we're playing here. Great to be back at Molineux, great to have you here.
It's really good to be back. I'm just thinking conditions-wise, it's not great to do reporting, but as a footballer, this is how you want it, to be fair. It's slippery, you know, you've got to be lively, you've got to be sharp. from a City point of view, they're going to be so excited in terms of the form that they're in. Looking at the results here at Wolves, have done well in the past. You know what I mean? It's difficult. It's difficult to be a Wolves employee and not see past a defeat.
It's setting up very, very nicely for Man City to potentially make it 7 wins in a row. Who do you think is going to be key to that today here at Molineux?
As always, any one of the front three at Man City, it could be. That's just the way it is for them. But again, I go back to the conditions. Conditions like this mean mistakes. It means that players need to be extra sharp. And when you think about that, what team capitalises most on mistakes and what's the sharpest team in the league? Need I say anymore?
Conditions like this also mean Natalie Pike is going to be in the studio laughing at us. She's joined by 2 regular guests and a very special guest, so let's head there.
Thanks so much, FG. Yes, of course we're laughing at you. You can't stand in a stadium and block the whole view with your umbrellas, because you might as well just be standing in the corner over here. So get them brollies down, FG and Darius. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us today ahead of our 3 p.m. Premier League kickoff against Wolves. And we have in the studio today the ultimate City Wolves combination, and also an incredible defensive lineup as well. So joining me on the sofa on this side, of course, Joleon Lescott, who had over 6 years at Wolves, over 220 appearances you had for Wolves as well.
Yeah.
Very welcome to you. Over here, of course, a former Manchester City captain and a former Wolves captain, over 150 league appearances for Wolves. A big welcome to Keith Curle.
Thank you.
And our new, very special, very excited, we love it when we get new faces on the sofa. So, over 160 performances for City as a player, and then managed Wolves for over 6 years. We're joined by Mick McCarthy. Welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you so much.
So Mick was the special one, just so we know.
I mean, I've just followed FG's lead on that, but yes,
okay.
yeah, Mick.
Just clarify.
Mick was the special.
I'm delighted to be. That's the very first time I've been special.
You're all special to us, you know that. It's lovely to have you here today. Of course, two of your former clubs today. What sort of game are you expecting, Mick?
Well, just listen to the interviews there. You can't ever back against Manchester City at the minute, can you? And Wolves are having a tough time. Started badly, and then they've got Manchester City turning up, which is the worst team you could have turning up. So I'm expecting a tough game for Wolves.
Game. So for yourself, Keith, you've captained both clubs. I guess you have fond memories of your time at both Wolves and City.
Yeah, definitely. Both big football clubs. Both have gone on and realised their potential as well, I think. Again, I think my leaving City to go to Wolves was a difficult time for Manchester City at that time, where it was a decision made by the stakeholders that they were going to restructure, and they were going to, anybody that was earning decent money had to go. And I think it started with people like Niall Quinn leaving the football club, and unfortunately then it went on a downward spiral.
Right, we need to uplift, quick, uplift, yes.
Well, the good point about it was earning decent money, obviously, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't come for less. He didn't come for less.
See, I missed that. That's a good point.
He was second in line. Quinn went, and then
Wow.
So we've got about a minute so we can give you the team news for today. You know, this is always the first place to get your team news, but you know I like to sneak you in little tidbits, and I can tell you that Nunez does start today against his old club. I'll bring you the full 11 in just a minute. Joleon, you started life as a footballer at Wolves. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you joined them?
14 maybe. I used to clean Keith's boots. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I probably can say it now as well, Keith. There used to be little cigarettes in there. But no, I used to clean his boots, and my first away trip was Norwich, and I roomed with Keith then. He was a club captain, and yeah, that was kind of my first experience of what it was like to be a professional more than anything. Like, I think most younger players have talent, but the professionalism of the game was different, and Keith was one of the best trainers and best professionals in regards to that side of it, so it was a great experience for me.
Was he any good, Keith? Did he do your boots adequately?
Excellent. No, I've got to say as well, I went to Wolves when I was 32, I think I was when I went there. And again, it was a transitional period where they brought through some younger players, and Joleon was a player that stood out, that was going to have a future in the game, not only just because of his footballing talent, but his mentality towards the game as well.
There we go. Do you feel special now?
Yeah.
Good.
A little bit.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks.
Not a mixed level, but yeah. I feel, yeah.
Right, now it's time to bring you the starting 11 for City for today's game against Wolves.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. Welcome back to Molineux, and it is time to reveal the Manchester City starting 11 to play Wolves today. In goal is the ever-present Ederson. The captain today is Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji and Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, a return for Mateo Kovacic, great to see, Matheus Nunes here against his old club, Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku, and Julian Alvarez, and our number 9, Erling Haaland. The substitutes for Manchester City today: Stefan Ortega and Scott Carson, Calvin Phillips, Jack Grealish, Sergio Gomez, Josko Vardiol, Oscar Bob, who impressed so much midweek, and Rico Lewis. Back pitch side with Darius Vassell. Darius, we've seen the team. Let's start where a lot of people are speaking about it. Obviously, Rodri's missing today through suspension. It looks like we're going with a double pivot, shall I say? Yeah. Mateo Kovacic and Matheus Nunes.
They certainly do. They complement each other. I think the Wolves fans here are going to, as much as they're going to be disappointed of how the Nunes situation went on, they're still going to be eager to see how is it going to pan out and how's it going to work out. They complement each other on paper, I think, really well in terms of the styles. And I think Nunes has got a great opportunity to show two sets of fans here exactly what he's about.
So let's talk about Matheus Nunes then very quickly. He showed in a Wolves shirt that he could do both. He could attack and he could defend. It looks like he'll be taking up a bit of a deeper role. Of course, Kovacic, like you said, will complement him. How did he do in a Wolves shirt? And did you see any of that defensive side as much?
Yes, certainly. He was. He didn't do it consistently enough. We knew that we had got a good player here, but the fans were saying and been letting off, and some of the staff, that he's just not week in, week out, not match winning, and not making a difference, which happens sometimes when players join clubs. It takes a while for them to set in. He's certainly got ability, and Man City don't sign bad players, so to see him there now, similar position, opportunity from deep to get those legs running, that's certainly what he's capable of. Box to box is his strength. I'm looking forward to seeing it today, but I'm not looking forward to what it's going to mean.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so we've heard about Nunes and Kovacic. I think in front of him, we think that he's going to go with Alvarez, who we've seen a lot in that pocket of midfield throughout the season. He's full of energy as well. That midfield seems to be full of energy.
It's massive, and the way we label Alvarez as a midfield player, he probably wouldn't label himself as that. So whilst he's around there in the midfielder area, he's so dangerous when it comes to being around goal. And the one man that we're not talking about, think what that means from the defensive line. They're worried about Alvarez, and you got another man that's scored a few goals as well. He's got a big chance.
I mean, when you're looking at that team, it's so unpredictable, because there's so many players, especially in the front three. Is Foden going to be on the left? Is he going to be on the right? Is Doku going to be on the left? Is he going to be on the right? Of course, Alvarez is in there as well.
Yeah.
And we know all about Erling Haaland, our number 9, of course. Let's talk about Jeremy Doku.
Yeah.
Came in, new summer signing, hit the ground running straight away, and he's electric, isn't he?
He is. We saw glimpses of him in his first match. I remember having a look. I was over at City, and I think we covered the game. He's electrifying. Yes, he's got pace. He's got end product and final ball and delivery. And what also he has, he can stick it in the back of the net as well. So when you're talking about wingers or wide players, what more do you want?
Of course. So Phil Foden as well. Great to see him getting a lot more minutes in the time, a lot more starts.
Definitely.
He's been exceptional this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, reliable, consistent. I think he'll start from the right, but don't be surprised to see him move across and have a bit of freedom up there. He never fails to let he never lets you down, does he, as a player? Watching him, he always gives you what you want to see. I coach young players now, so if you can imagine, they need to look up to anybody. He's probably one of the main ones.
I'm going to bring you in on your coaching now, Darius. So Darius does coach young players here at Wolves. If you were in the Wolves first team setup, you're looking at this team, is it a case of doing our job correctly, or is it a case of maybe going man marking or etc.? Like, is there a certain player that you'd cut out? There's so much talent.
Yeah, this is the problem. If you focus too much on one thing, you're playing against a team that are capable of doing a multitude of things. I think the key is not to forget your own identity, try and cause some problems and give Manchester City something to worry about. I think the key in these games is the manner in which you end up with your results. So win, lose or draw, those are the three outcomes, but the manner in which you get those things. Man City have the ability to really pummel you and really hammer you into the ground, and sometimes you can come out of the games really wondering, you know, what is life about? To keep it respectable, that's the main thing, and be clinical when you get your opportunities, because City, like any other team, you know, they will concede goals if the quality is high enough.
And they're going to, of course, potentially look at set pieces as a way of scoring, which is probably why Akanji and Diaz are in a starting 11, a bit of extra height, good in the air. I mean, it's just a case of keeping everything controlled at the back, and that back four looks very, very solid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's very solid back there. I think the strategy against City for all teams will be mass these set pieces, both for and against, but mass are the ones for, because that might be your only opportunity to go and nick something. So expect to see that, some sort of setup when Wolves win free kicks or get corners, but at the same time, concentrating on that does bring you other problems, because City are probably one of the best counter-attacking sides you're going to see.
And of course we have to touch on Oscar Bob. What a fantastic performance, and put himself on the map, so to speak. City fans, of course, we all know about the talent Oscar's got. What did you make of his performance at St James's Park, especially in that first half?
I wouldn't say brilliant, that's probably going too far. There's more to come from him, but it's catching the attention of people, which is the right thing. I've been there before, and in a game like today, he's going to get an opportunity again, and hopefully for him, he does well. Hopefully for me and the club that I work for, it's not too well, but let's see what we get.
Well, we will have the Wolves team very shortly for you, but from me and Darius, let's head back to the studio.
You leave it there.
Thank you so much to FG and to Darius Vassell there. So that is the Manchester City team news for today. I think I make that 7 changes from the team that will be in midweek to Newcastle in the League Cup. Also, just quickly before we carry on, Joleon, if you look in the screen now to what everybody is seeing, you currently look like Batman, because the ears of the wolves behind your head is sticking out of your black beanie.
I'd rather be Bruce Wayne. Yeah.
So
I've got a halo on.
people. If you're realising that at home, no, he's not in fancy dress. He's not in Halloween fancy dress yet. That is just the unfortunate positioning of where he is right now. So 7 changes from the midweek team there. Keith, first of all, when you look at that starting 11, is that what you expected to see today?
Yeah, I think the only probably talking point would be Phillips and Nunez. Phillips had his opportunity, took his opportunity and played well, but left out today, so that'll be a talking point for a lot of people. But then on the other side of that, Nunez going back to his former club, great opportunity for him to embed himself at Manchester City.
Yeah, Nunez has had a good start to life at City. I wonder, Mick, do you think that that's played into Pep's thinking at all in terms of Phillips or Nunez today, the fact that he's going back to his old club? Do you think that will inspire him?
Every chance, yeah. I mean, players, well, we've all done it, I think. I've said, go back to your old club. You want to play better and show them why they sold you and they're missing you. So he'll be wanting to do that today. And quite clearly, he's a very, very, very talented player. And what do you go for, 60 million quid? He'll want to go back and show Wolves and he'll want to beat them. But Phillips is, you just wonder, he cost 50 million, do you, something, 60 million. And he's being left out. He can't get a game, which is surprising. But not going to argue with Pep. He's the top man. He picks his teams.
Yeah, in terms of Kovacic and Nunez, both had great starts to life here. It's become a very interesting battle for those midfield positions now.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and even referencing what Mick said about Calvin Phillips, maybe a factor that he's played 90 minutes in the week, and how often has he played 90 minutes in a week, so that may be a factor. But Nunez, yeah, he's probably further along in regards to minutes during pre-season, and Kovacic, he's like he's been here forever. Do you know what I mean? As soon as he came, and he probably featured more than Pep would have liked, may have led to him getting injured, but every time he's performed exceptionally well.
To see Jack arriving, we didn't have any sound there, but I can imagine he got a lovely welcome from all the Wolves fans that were waiting outside there. Another interesting battle that is developed is and it's been a lot of talk online this week, Doku and Grealish, and that kind of interesting debate there. Again, it's great to have the challenge for positions.
Yeah, and I think that's what Pep wants, and what City fans would want is a strong competitive squad, and 2 in every position. They'll both feature enough throughout the year and contribute. Yeah, Doku obviously is, again, probably played more than what was anticipated due to Jack's injury, but he's performed exceptionally well, and it's probably the first time that we've had wingers that can perform on both sides during the game. I think when it's Jack in previous games and Riyad in previous seasons, you kind of was predictable in terms of where they would stand and where they would operate during the game. But first time Phil can play left or right, and so can Doku.
Obviously, we can't not talk about defending with having the three of you here. But before we look at our defenders, in terms of Doku, Keith, I've loved watching him so far. To see him running at a player, it's so exciting as a fan. But as a defender, how would you deal with somebody that is just running at you?
Kick him.
Yeah, a different era for that.
I think we all would. He'd be sat in the stand. No, it's one of the places. One of the hardest things to defend against. Your positional play, because if you get somebody that gets the other side of you too late, then it's about your positional play. Can you deny him from getting the ball early, which makes your job easier, which makes you isolate yourself and say, look, I'm marking him. He's not going to get the ball to his feet. But then your position has to be right, and your anticipation if they start playing balls over the top. If you're defending deep, go and mark your man.
Yeah, we saw it a few games ago when he got his goal, and yes, he shook the defender up a lot. In terms of defending in our team, Mick, we've got an incredible defensive record. I mean, we always do, but so far this season we've only conceded 3 goals in 6 Premier League games. The importance of being a title-winning, title-challenging team to having a strong defence, is it key?
Absolutely key, yeah, but they don't get attacked that often. I mean, I think you judge defenders on concentration as well. That's a big part of it. But teams that get attacked regularly and they have to keep clean sheets, Manchester City have the ball and dominate it. I think the big thing is when you are like that you're concentrating, because I bet we've all done it, watching when you're playing well and you're like, we haven't playing well today, and all of a sudden the ball goes in behind you and you concede, and it's the defender's fault. So that's really important. But they're just everywhere on the pitch. They've got top players, but the possession that they have, they just dominate it. They keep the teams pressed in their half. Very rare am I looking at Manchester City and they're getting overridden by another team that's pumping them. Never.
Yeah, we do have huge amounts of possession pretty much in every game. Yeah. In terms of that back four today, Joleon, so we've got a couple of changes from the Newcastle team. Guardiola onto the bench. We've still got Akanji, Ake, Walker and Diaz come back in as well. Again, we've got this wonderful competition back there where you're kind of comfortable with everybody that plays.
Yeah, again, and I've said it numerous times, I think it's probably the best group of defenders I've seen in the Premier League era, that I think you could take out 2, 3, 4 players and it'd still be at the same level, where I think there's partnerships that have been strong in previous years and eras that you take 1 or 2 of them out and it disrupts their whole team, the whole rhythm, which that isn't the case. I do think it would be a slight tougher test for Curle out of the back four due to Neto and how well he's playing this season, but I'm sure he's capable of dealing with that for it.
What have you made kind of our sort of defence specifically this season, Mick?
Well, just talking about the players that they've got, I thought Diaz made a huge difference when he came, for sure. And I thought the decision because there's talk where Walker might be going in the summer. Was it Bayern Munich were in for him? And Pep talked him around. If I believe what I read, and that's all I can go on. And doing that, I thought that was an amazing decision to do, because he's fabulous. I mean, he is. He gets forward. His pace. You can leave him 1v1 with anybody. I'm saying he might be different today, but I guarantee you, he'll come out on tops 1v1. And Ake, the sign of him, he was a left-sided centre back. He's playing left back. And I saw that Pep said about what you needed players to deal with wide players, and that's what he's got. They're fabulous.
Mentioned Nathan Ake there, Mick. It's like you've read me mind there. Because, of course, one man that has been instrumental to our incredible defensive success is Nathan Ake. So we can hear his thoughts now on the mentality of our treble winners.
I think we demand a lot from each other. Everyone, the manager demands a lot of us. We demand a lot of each other. Every game, it doesn't matter, big one or small one, we want to perform, and you have to perform at the highest level always. The club demands that of you, the manager demands it, and yeah, that's why I think our mentality is always to try and win everything possible, every game. But yeah, I think when you get around those stages, it's about, if you lose, you're out of a big competition. If you win, you may be able to do something special, as we did last season. I think everyone had that in their mind, and maybe that gave everyone that extra energy, extra motivation to keep going, because we were getting closer and closer to winning trophies. But yeah, I think last season you could really feel that we were, onto something. And to be honest, the start of this season, I don't feel any difference. I think maybe people thought, or from the outside, or even at the club, maybe, okay, we won the treble and stuff, we're gonna relax now and stuff like that. But I don't have that feeling at all. Straight away from the first game of the season, we wanted to go again, and we won, and it's not enough. We want to keep winning, and I think that's just a nice mentality to have as a club, as the manager pushes us, and as players as well.
That was Nathan Ake speaking earlier in the week. Of course, he starts today in our game against Wolves, 3 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League. And of course, you'll get your full match commentary, as always, with the wonderful Alistair Mann, the brilliant Michael Brown. That is free on the City app. If you don't have the City app, get yourself downloading that now. Plenty of time there before the game starts. And as always, if you would like to ask any of our guests a question, you can do so using our WhatsApp number. That is on screen now. I can see I've got a couple of good questions coming in already, so get those in and I'll get through as many as I can. Make them juicy, and I like is to make our guests work there, so get your WhatsApp questions in now. Now we're going to go back over to Molineux now, where FG and Darius Vassell are still pitch side, and they're going to give us the Wolves team news.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. Welcome back to Molineux pitchside here with the Wolves team for you. In goal is Jose Sarr, Aït-Nouri, Lamina, Neto, Gomez, Hwang Hee-chan, Cunha, Dawson, Semedo, Kilman, who's the captain, and Tori. Joining me pitchside is a man who knows Wolves very, very well, Darius Vassell. We've seen the Wolves starting 11. Any surprises looking at it?
Not really. That looks what it should be, to be honest. The first person that I look for when a Wolves team's laid out is Neto. For me, he's the one with that little bit of quality, that little bit of a cutting edge. Probably under a lot of pressure because Wolves, they need something right now, but he's the one that normally can unlock defences.
Let's talk about Pedro Neto then. A very, very high rated player, a man that Wolves, like you said, do look to when they look at that creativity. It might be a bit far between him, might be a bit difficult for him, he might be working on scraps, etc. But he is key, isn't he, for them?
Certainly, yeah, and he's also got the hunger and desire as well. He spent a long time out a few seasons ago with an injury, a really bad injury. He got himself back involved, and he's searching to get back where he was. At the time before his injury, he really was, he looked like he was going to be one of the best. So the fans are waiting to see some more of that, and it's a great time to start doing it, I think, for him.
Well, we wish him well, of course. Not today, though, on my perspective. Let's talk about Hwang Hee-chan, a man who pops up.
Yep.
He gets the odd goal here or there. He works very, very hard, and he's highly rated here, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and he sometimes goes a little bit unnoticed, goes about his work unnoticed. He covers a lot of ground, he makes tackles, but as he said, he does pop up and he can grab a goal when you don't expect it to come from him. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, by the way, he would be somebody that I'd bet on, definitely.
Well, he's not a betting man, that's good here, neither am I. Right, okay, let's talk about Mario Lamina, a man who fans might remember. He had a stint at Southampton. He's very energetic.
Yeah.
We spoke about the City energy in the midfield. He's key, isn't he, to getting them going and stuff?
That key word there that you said there, energy. He's a box-to-box player, gets himself about there, puts himself about. When you let go of players like Nunez and people who can cover ground, those players are the ones that you need to come in and do the business. You do not want to lose out when you lose big players like Nunez, and he can or should be able to fill a gap.
Do you think Wolves are going to start quite deep? Do you think they're going to sit back and try and hit on the counter? We spoke about Neto, we spoke about Hwang. Do you think it's a case of them sitting behind and just trying to hit us on the counter attack? Because City will have a lot of the ball like they always do. How do you think they'll approach it?
They could be forced to do that with City having or dominating possession. It probably won't be an aim of theirs. I think Wolves will want to establish some sort of identity, certainly in the first half, give City something to worry about, but they could end up exactly in that situation that you've just described, just for the simple fact that City are dominating, overloads in wide areas. It's very difficult to break out and be comfortable in possession.
But overall, you know a lot about Wolves and the philosophy of the club, the way they want to play football, don't they? They want to be creative. How has that changed, of course, with the manager and of course the season of the Premier League again? Is it throughout the club? Because you're working with the youth team, aren't you?
Yeah, we try and have it continue through the club. If you look at the first team, they're trying to switch the play, they're trying to get overloads in wide areas. Most teams are trying to do that. Wolves at the moment are just not getting success or end product, and it can be hard for players at times to really feel like the work is productive.
Yeah, I mean, when you do watch Wolves, you do see, of course, the work that they are putting in. Is it just a case of when rather than if with this team? Do you think? I mean,
I believe so.
I think they'll be safe. I think there's teams below there that struggle a little bit. I think it's just a case of just getting points on the board, isn't it?
I think the quality is there. We spoke about it. That momentum is really important. The manager is well received, highly regarded at the club, and I think once he starts getting the results that he wants, that will galvanise the team in the way that it's supposed to, because I think there's a lot more to come from him, the management staff and the team. They're just all disappointed that they haven't quite got over the line yet, but they have had a difficult run.
They have indeed, and it's difficult for them today, and it's probably going to be difficult for the goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. You guys, FPL players around the world, you'll know how high rated this man was, especially last season. He is a terrific goalkeeper, just signed a new deal, which is great for Wolves fan. Good distribution as well, Darius.
Excellent distribution. For an out of possession situation in the team, once he's got that ball in his hands and you've won it back, it's great for forward players like Neto, who we've mentioned, who he can get it out there. The timing and the tempo of his distribution, which almost sets the standard or sets the energy for the team, the intensity. He has signed a new deal. He does make brilliant saves, and he might have to today show us exactly why he's got a new deal.
Absolutely. Now, Natalie, I know you're watching and thinking, where are the brollies? Well, Darius, why have we not got brollies?
Well, I would prefer it if photos of me with a brolly, as small as that as well. I noticed you when you had yours on. Doesn't turn up on social media, so we got rid of them.
Yeah, Darius saw the cooking and he wasn't happy. Let's head back to the studio where Natalie has got a lot to answer for.
We've done 7 in the cup. But
well, we appreciate you, Darius. Thank you so much for putting your brolly down. It's lovely to see the whole of Molineux behind you both. And now, thank you to FG and to Darius Vassell, who are at Molineux. So we've had the Wolves team news. I looked at it quickly and I think I make that 9 changes from the team that were beat against Ipswich midweek again in the League Cup. Mick, a difficult start to the season for Wolves. They were knocked out by Ipswich midweek after going 2-0 up. No win in 4 games now for them. It's a very big and general question. I'm sure the Wolves fans wish you had the answer, but what has gone wrong for them this season?
I don't think it's just this season. I think it's been spiralling down ever since they changed the managers, and they were struggling. Then they were kept up last year, and then they started and Gary O'Neill's come in. And whether that's a good choice or a bad choice, I think he's inherited a club that is actually, looking at not necessarily getting relegated, but going to be in that bottom half all the time, and really tough. And I think for a new manager to inherit that's hard work. I look at them and I think I see the results they've had, and then they went away and beat Everton, but losing at Ipswich from the 2-0 up, that tells me something about them, that they actually, I'm not saying they've given up, but they've gone away to a championship club who's just been promoted, a Premier League club, and getting beat 3-2. Nobody will be happy at that club, I can tell you.
Yeah, it's the going 2-0 up there as well, Keith, that I think was the kind of shocking thing there for Ipswich to come back and win 3-2. How much do you think that will have dented their confidence, or do you think they will be, pushing it aside because it was the League Cup?
Well, it's always easy to say you can just push results aside, but you can't. I think performance-wise, I've only really seen them once, and that was against Man United early on in the season, and I think everybody was of the same opinion. These ain't bad. But then, I was chatting to Mick earlier on, and he said, well, it's easy to raise yourself for the big games. Then they go and get beat the next 2 games afterwards. And again, 2-0 up, getting beat away, can't happen. Will have an effect. The worst thing probably might happen, as a manager, you'd say, well, the best thing that can happen is now we're playing Man City, because you're going to get exposed. If you don't turn up, you are going to get exposed. So you can use that as a motivation. A heavy defeat today piles more pressure on the football changing room because nobody likes getting beat.
Well, I think what's kind of surprised me the most with Wolves this season, Joleon, we used to associate Wolves with being incredibly defensive and really hard to break down. This season, they've conceded 12 goals in 6 Premier League games so far. What has happened to this, what used to be solid defence?
Again, is it down to one factor? I doubt it. There's probably a number of changes that have happened that impacts the team and the results, and we're seeing that now. And like Keith said then, I think the United game, and it may be easier to raise yourself, I think that was kind of a small margin. I think if they get the point, and rightly so, should have got a penalty last minute, I think their kind of outlook then may be different. It may have a different kind of level of confidence and belief going into the games after that, but that hasn't been the case. And yeah, in midweek, making that many changes, and players or managers do that in competitions, and it's hard for players that have coming in to kind of give a great account of themselves, and then all of a sudden it would be justified that they're not playing on a regular basis because they've lost. So there won't be many people full of confidence in that change rooms, and
Can I just interject? Just when you asked about it, because you've seen them.
Yeah.
They played a 3 at the back, didn't they, for a long time?
Yeah.
That's when they were really tough and hard to beat. And then they changed it and played. And Conor Cody was one of the big. I was really surprised how he left the club and left it like under a cloud, really.
Yeah.
And again, he was a real leader in that team.
I think they got rid of 3 that season as well. I think there was 2 others, then Dunker and Sice. I think there was a few leaders within that group that kind of bode well for the team, even when they're not playing. And I think that goes underestimated within dressing rooms. That
they don't look like they've got the same backbone in this team.
Yeah.
That they did in that team. That looked like a far better defensive unit. Whether it was playing 3 or 5 at the back, or
just characters.
They had some leaders.
Yeah, just characters. I think when you are losing, and game management, experienced players will know within the game for the next 10 minutes that isn't going to work. We're not going to play it from the back. We're not going to press high. We're going to kind of retreat or whatever that may be within a game. When players understand that, where I think younger players assume we'll play our way out of this. Like, that was a mistake then, but I won't do that again. I'll do better next time. It's like, no, the game doesn't warrant us doing that at this moment in time, and it's not a team you want to be facing when again your confidence is low.
I guess one player in that Wolves team that is standing out for them, and I guess the fans are putting a lot of hope into Curle's Keith, is of course Neto. He's scored his first goal last weekend for a while, but he has been giving loads of assists this season. Is he a standout player for you?
Yeah, he's a player that can open doors. Good ball carrier as well. It can hurt you on the counter attack. It's going to be a difficult game to have flair players, and when they get their opportunity, it's going to be limited opportunities, and they have to be clinical. And I think probably they may look at the Newcastle or City's result against Newcastle and say, well, 2 different teams. In the first half, it was all Man City and Newcastle sat off. They might think, well, in the second half when they came out and they said, well, we're going to have a go at City. Now, that's going to be what the manager's going to be looking at and thinking like, well, do I go and set my team up to go and stop City getting into any sort of rhythm, which personally I think is a very, very, very dangerous thing to go and do. So they're going to have to be organised, disciplined. They're going to have to get men behind the ball. And again, that's what we're talking about, the character within that changing room. You've got to get an extra yard out of your teammate. They've got to get back in cover. There can't be any gaps, any holes anywhere in your team. Have they got the personality in that changing room? Could be a very, very long 90 minutes for them.
In terms of any other players in that Wolves starting 11 that stand out for you, Mick? Who should we be keeping our eye on today?
That's a very good question. I think we'll be looking at the Manchester City team and seeing them. I said I've just seen the name come up. I said I barely know any of them, and I've just been asked by Joleon, do I not know Kilman, because he was at Wolves apparently when I was there. Well, I left 12. I left in 2012.
I thought he was there.
So actually, he was only about 11 when I was there. So I'm saying I don't particularly know the Wolves team, and then I looked at it and I'm trying to find in the team. I spoke to my pal yesterday, he was a Wolves fan, and he didn't fill me full of enthusiasm about them either. You know, he's just supporters are like that. Yeah. Forgive me. Well, they are, because they can always see the negative and never any positive in it if it's going badly. And it is going exceptionally badly for them. I think, they talk about Newcastle, I think that's the game they need to look at. If you sit back and get beat, there's nothing worse than when you come in the dressing room afterwards, you think, we never even had a go. You might as well go and have a go at him. And at Molineux, I've been the manager there, and we've played against when it was Man City and teams were better than us. We had to go and have a go at them and go and press them and see if you can get something out of them. Because if you just let them play, they'll get murdered. They'll get absolutely bashed.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will agree with you, because when you look at the amount of big names or recognisable Wolves names, players that left in the summer, when you're looking at Neves, Moutinho, Jimenez, Collins, Traore, I mean even Diego Costa, the amount of names that left in the summer that we recognised. Yeah. So I
looked at them last night and I wrote them all down, but I forgot them now because I had too many footballs. But you've just named them all that I was looking at, and I'm thinking the story for them is the ones that left, not the ones that came in. So I'm saying, well, who else did come in? All right, so we mentioned Neto, but other than that, where are we looking? And they've lost hell of a good players.
Yeah, they certainly have. Difficult summer for them. So we are, of course, joined by Mick McCarthy today on Matchday Live. His first time joining us, hopefully not his last. Hopefully he enjoys himself. So we thought we'd have a little chat about you, Mick.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Feel free to get involved, gents. So you obviously started life at Barnsley before joining City in 1983, Mick. So do you think that you were, in fact, the
82.
I
was born in 82.
I was born in 82.
Joleon knows all about me.
So Barnsley to City, just like our John Stones, which means really you are the original Barnsley Beckenbauer, right?
Oh,
That's,
wow,
you know, John needs to give you your nickname back.
I think he can keep that badge. Yeah. I don't think they're ever going to pin that one on me. I was more like Norman Hunter, because I left Norman was there. I was more like Bite Your Legs Norman Hunter than Beckenbauer John Stones. I'll leave him with that title.
Give us a kind of overview. What was it like at joining City in 1983?
Billy McNeil was the manager. I mean, I'd been sort of looked at. There's people talking I might be moving, and I was actually going to Newcastle. I thought I was going to Newcastle, and right out of the blue, Billy McNeil came in for me, and I was delighted to go over and talk to him. Of course, what was it like? I tell you, when I was negotiating with him, with my contract, and I'm doing it myself.
It wasn't Keith's deal.
It wasn't Keith's deal.
So we clarify that.
Because I wouldn't have been second out the door. And when I'm negotiating the deal, his opening line was, "Oh, if we could sell the goalposts here and still play, we'd sell them." So that's a right good negotiating tool. I know I was struggling. It just was that. They'd been relegated. They were struggling actually which was the second division at the time. It just looked like it wasn't going very well, but that didn't bother me because I'm joining Manchester City. I'm coming from Barnsley. It's a step up in the club, whether it's not a step up in the league, and I was just so thrilled to join. And walking up those steps into Main Road was magnificent. When I got out of my car and walked up there, it was fabulous. Yeah.
You were with us then for 4 years. You were player of the season 1 year as well.
I think that was the first season. I joined in December, so you can tell you how bad the others were. I'd only been there since December. I got player of the year.
Half a season. Sounds like Kevin De Bruyne.
What was your kind of overarching memory of your sort of four years at City?
Just how great a place it was. I loved it. I loved where we lived. I loved everything about it. And then, because we were in the second division at the time, and we finished fourth, and then we got promoted, which was fabulous. I mean, there were great scenes that we beat Charlton 5-0. Is it 5-0, 5-1 on the last day of the season? I didn't play, unfortunately, and I don't think Nicky Reid played. We'd both been suspended. We were known as a bit of a terrifying duo playing at the back. Terrifying when not when we hadn't got the ball. We were good without the ball. We were terrifying when we had the ball. Me and Nicky. And just the club was brilliant. But I look back on it, and we were always skint. We were the poor relations, you know. We were playing against Manchester United, and I scored against Man United. It was my one and only goal, I think, but which I still love. We were playing against them and we've no chance. It was a bit like we had no chance. We drew 1-1 in that game. But we just looked so down on it. It's a bit like, and I'll say it with respect to the teams now, and with Luton, Sheffield United coming up and they're just being looked down upon and getting beat. That's how it was for us, and we just had to scrap, bite, kick, you know, and make it really tough for teams to play against us. We weren't the footballing team that they are now, that's for sure.
You mentioned Main Road as well. Did you enjoy playing there?
Main Road was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, yeah. And I'm going to mention my header again because it was at the end. I didn't score many, so I'm going to mention again. The header at the end is where Haaland used to sit behind the goals with the bell. Yeah. And somebody said to me one day, it was a great goal you scored, like flew in the top corner. I said I wasn't aiming at the net, I was aiming at Haaland to try and knock that bloody bell out of her. And unfortunately, the net stopped it.
Oh, I love that, Helen the Bell.
Oh, the ground was it was iconic. The ground, yeah, fabulous. And when it was full, of course, the noise was amazing. Great.
So from us, then you went on and you played with Celtic and Lyon as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, two big European clubs.
Yeah, Celtic was we'd been relegated. And I didn't want to play in the second division again. I'd had 5-6 seasons with Barnsley and then 2 with City. So when Celtic came in, it was a great move. And bearing in mind I was playing for Ireland as well, that's a great club to be playing for if you're playing for Ireland. Brilliant. We won the double first year. I do remember being in the photograph prior to the season and had not won anything that season. And somebody said, "Where's all the trophies?" joking. And somebody else joked, they said it's at Ibrox, which is Rangers. Yeah. Billy McNeil nearly ripped the head off him. He said, and that's what's wrong with this club. He went into it, and it taught me a lesson then. What Celtic was all about, because we should have a trophy there. There should be some silverware there, and we won the double that year. Won the double, and I think that just that little comment there set it up for me, certainly. But we used to go to games, and a bit like Manchester City now. Not the same level, not the same team, not the same players. But when we went to Hibs, we were expected to win. When we went to St Mirren, we were expected to win. When we went to Aberdeen, we were expected to win. It wasn't we come away with a draw and that was a half decent result. You're getting pelters. We've got to go in. They're playing for a big club that's expecting to win.
Yeah. I imagine it was an incredible time, and of course playing for Ireland as well. For many of our viewers, they'll of course know you from your managerial career as well across so many clubs, and of course Wolves being one of them, and of course managing Ireland as well. I mean, that must have been, to have gone from a player that had done so well with them to managing them, that must have been a huge honour.
It was, yes. To get the opportunity, I mean, I was too young when I got the opportunity. I have to be honest. I'd been in the job, 4 years was it, at Millwall? I mean, I'm 36, just ready to turn 37, and Big Jack had left because he'd had 10 wonderful years. And following him, I mean, it's like following Alex Ferguson now at Manchester United. It'll be like following Pep at Manchester City, because he'd been in the European Cup, 2 World Cups. So following him, but I was always going to take the job. Never ever going to knock it back. But I was still wet behind the ears. I'd had 4 years at Millwall. We'd been in the playoffs. We'd had a good time. This is us beating Manchester City.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy. Well, you never are when you lose. Choose who it is and who you lose to, of course. But managing Ireland was that's played in a quarter-final of the World Cup with Ireland, and we got to Korea and Japan. That was the pinnacle, really. Great.
So we're seeing you as Wolves manager here, of course, beating City, as you mentioned. You must have some incredible fond memories of your time at Wolves.
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, from going there, when they were expected to get relegated again, they'd been relegated, and all the talk was they were going to get relegated because players were leaving. We'd got no money to spend, which is generally the case with any job I get. As I said, when I did the fantasy football, I spent too much money and they kicked me out of it because I never had any money. That was brilliant. I loved it. Wolves. Probably as happy and as successful I'd been at any other club, and I've enjoyed every club. We got promoted with Sunderland, but winning the league with Wolves and then staying in the league for 2 years to staying in the Premier League, that was great. Not having a great amount of money to spend and having to do it with sort of young and hungry, and I loved it. And I know Joleon knows him because I think he coached in TC. I've got to give him a mention. Teddy Connor, Ian Evans was my assistant first, and he was there with me all the time, and I've had a lot to thank him for. But TC at Wolves, and since then we've been together. He knew the club, he knew what it was all about, and he was a huge help to that. But yeah, wonderful club. And because they got relegated to the second division and then got back in the Premier League, and when the new owners took over and they bought all these Portuguese players, they look fabulous. I mean, there's been a great team, and I hate to see the demise now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. Now, you will know that we have been touring our 3 trophies around the world. We love to do it. We love to bring them to all our fans around the world, as many people to see them as we possibly can. And we send our legends with them as well. And we know, particularly Paul Dickoff, loves the trophy tour. But now we've got our very own Sean Wright-Phillips. We've sent him around the world. I was following his stories on Instagram of his playing journeys in the time. He's absolutely loving it. So Sean Wright-Phillips is on the trophy tour right now, and he's been out there meeting some of you, and here he is telling us a little bit about the experience.
Hi everybody, I'm all the way, as you know, in Jakarta. I'm having an amazing time. I'm on one of the 5 rooftops that I've been in this building so far, so you can imagine how City are doing it at the minute. I've been hanging out with the young leaders in Bandung, did some charitable causes, as you'll see. I actually played a part in doing a little bit of artwork, which was nice. Heard the national music song, the kids were playing it on the drums and stuff like that, which I thought was awesome because, as you know, I'm very much into my music. And I got a live performance from a nice young lady doing the national dancing as well, which was quite epic to see in real life, to be honest with you. So if you ever get a chance, make sure you see it. So everybody back in the studio, Joleon, Lescott, Mick McCarthy. Sorry, Mick, I hope you lose right now. I have to be honest with you. So my score prediction for today, hopefully it's a City win so they can carry on that 100% record, but I think it'll be a 2-0 game. But as I said, all the way from Jakarta, we're here now getting prepared for the Matchday Live. My experience with all the fans so far have been amazing. You can see how quick the club has grown over here. We even spoke to a fan earlier in the hotel before I got here, and he was saying to us how much and how quickly Man City fan base here is really, really growing. So I can't wait to get upstairs and meet all the rest today. Game 2 kick off, so do your stuff back at home in the studio.
That is Sean Wright-Phillips. He's on our trophy tour. You were saying you go somewhere next week?
Yeah, I'm going to Abu Dhabi, do the leg there, so been there a few times.
Amazing.
Nice.
When do you go?
Thursday till the Monday. So cover the Arsenal game out there.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
Be nice.
Oh, well, have a lovely time.
I will do.
We're not jealous at all, are we? Not at all. Thank you so much for sending in your WhatsApp questions. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can now. And the first one that came in today was from Jaden, and he says, what is it like for the guests returning to their former clubs like Nunez is today? So, Joleon?
That was an emotional one. I think it might have been Mick's first game. The first time I actually played there, the first game after you'd left, and TC was the caretaker manager and obviously Mick's assistant, but that was like my mentor throughout my career. So it's a bit emotional for that, and also on the way to the game we'd found out United had dropped points, so we were going to take control of the league in regards to the outcome, but if we won, Wolves will go down. Yeah, so like we went there, we won the game, we're obviously over the moon, and then I'm speaking to TC after the game and he's in tears, like taking them down. So that was like an emotional moment for me, but he just said to me after, just make sure you go on and win it now kind of thing. But that was my first experience of going back to Molineux.
Really emotional.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Mick, going back to any of your former clubs?
Me? Well, I went back with Manchester City, went back to Barnsley. And the funny thing is, because my mates were walking down Pontefract Road, which they always did, to go and stand in the terrace. And as they're walking down, they're listening, because I'm coming back after not only a few games, 4 or 5 games I'm having left. And the fans are talking about me, and they're saying, yeah, he was slow anyway when he was here. He weren't that good, you know. And anyway, they stood in the terrace, and they're still at it. Oh, look, he's coming out last again with his shirt off. He's a big-headed sod. He was never that good when he was here. And bloody hell, we should have got, I don't know how we got 200 grand for him and all that. Anyway, the game started. It's about 10 minutes in, and somebody says, he was a bloody good player, though, wasn't he? And my mates were laughing the side so because they were caning me before it started, and then they had to. It was like gritted teeth. Oh, he was a good player, wasn't he? Like, why have we sold him? It was a brilliant story. My mates told me.
I love that. They got a little reminder.
They did, yes. They got a taster.
Keith?
Yeah, I think Mick touched on it earlier on, is the emotional side of the game when you're going back, when you know a football club inside out and the infrastructure and you know all the people, but deep down as a player, you want to perform. You want to go out and you want to make sure you put in a performance that not shuts them up, but it says like, this is what you're missing out on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great question there, Jaden. Sam has asked a question about Calvin Phillips. He said, with Calvin Phillips having all eyes on him, what do you expect of him with Rodri out? I mean, it's a tough one, Joleon, seeing as he's not starting today.
Yeah, again, but I'll put that down to him playing 90 minutes, and that was a big game on Wednesday, so it wasn't kind of just disregarding his capabilities or anything like that. So I just put him down to not playing today due to that factor. But yeah, there should be more minutes now. With Rodri being out, he was brought into the club to fulfil that, if ever inevitability, that was Rodri missing games. But listen, whatever Pep does and whoever he chooses, doesn't seem to get it wrong that often. So you can't argue with the manager's decision, and I'm sure Calvin's aware of that. But like every player, you want to play in all the games.
You're right. With the 90 minutes he played in the week, and he's got fresh legs, why wouldn't you play them? Yeah. You know, I'm sure he tells him that. And Calvin Phillips will think, yeah, I could be playing.
Yeah.
But you had 90 minutes. Look, I'm playing this, and he's just going to have to get on with it anyway.
Lovely. Sam, it's a great question. Thank you so much. Loads of other questions. I'm sorry I haven't got through any more right now, but we'll definitely try a little bit later on, or indeed at half time as well. So, Yesterday was the long-awaited release of EA FC 24, and as you can see, I am repping City's eSports kit today, which you can purchase.
Wolves colours.
Loving it.
That's the reason I didn't wear it, to be fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the reason.
Oh.
City show.
That's put a dampener on it.
Thanks, Joleon. Thank you. But you can purchase it now and wear it when City are not playing Wolves as well. So, Joleon, EA FC 24. Have you had a chance to play it?
Not yet. I'm waiting to get some proper time on it. I'm going to give it a good bash this year. I've neglected the old game for the last couple of seasons, but this year I'm back on it. So my kids still think they can beat me, which I know they can't.
Cheek of it, eh?
I know. Yeah.
Have you ever played FG?
Yeah, of course I have.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, a couple of times. We're in here. He was talking a lot, to be fair, and then I've sat him down and shut him up, and he ended up sitting on the floor. Yeah. So yeah, I used to play a lot, probably too much, to be fair, probably too much. But now I've play less.
Maybe have a little go, yes, but not let it take over.
Yeah, because it affects my mood. That's probably the only thing that I get like emotional about. Like I can come upstairs and my wife will be like, "You lost, didn't you?" I'll be like, "Yeah." People will be getting told off.
Well, God love her. Is that the only thing you get emotional about?
Yeah, to the extent where I'm swearing and stuff like that, yeah.
The kids have got off with flu, the kids have got a birthday.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
FIFA, that game was... Yeah.
She's an understanding woman.
She's a keeper.
Now, we've got women in the Ultimate Team this year as well for the first time. That's brilliant for the women's game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest thing now that we can recognise, it's not recognised as the women's game, is it's seen as football now, and I think England national team are having played a part in that, and we're not separating the sports, which I think has happened in previous years, and now we're recognising that it's a general sport and it's equally as entertaining.
Well, best of luck to all of you that are getting your heads fully into EAFC 24. And don't forget, you can get a City eSports shirt as well. I will be proudly wearing this, feeling like I'm down with the kids, to be honest, Joleon. It's the coolest I've felt in years wearing this shirt today. So, our own FG, of course, who wears this shirt for his job. He's with Darius Vassell. They are at Molineux. Let's get their thoughts ahead of the game.
Thank you, Natalie. Welcome back to Molineux pitchside with Darius Vassell. Darius, final thoughts. We can see the City team is behind us. They're warming up, ready to go, ready to potentially match a record set by Chelsea and Liverpool. Only two teams have done it before, 7 in a row in the Premier League. Will that be playing on their mind, or is it just another game?
It will be playing on the minds. The subs, they look lively, they're buoyant, they're bouncy. They've got smiles on their faces. I knew they'd feel like this. They've come in here after the past results and they're thinking, I fancy a bit of this. Which is great for Man City, but not so great for Wolves.
Of course, that past result, the one at St James's Park, that will be playing in the minds of everyone in the club, because this club doesn't like losing 2 games in a row, and it rarely happens. Do you think there'll be much chat about that performance on Wednesday, albeit it was a cup game? There's a few players stepping back in. Erling Haaland's back in the starting lineup. Do you think that plays a part today?
I think when you think about the general standards of the football club, they would have spoke about that. They would have put themselves in their own place, and they'll be looking to make a real dominant response to that. And again, I keep saying that could be really bad for Wolves.
It could be. How do you see the opening stages of the game going? Do you think it's going to be a fast start from City? Think there'll be a lot of chances created, or do you think it'll be something, a case of them easing the way into the game?
I think it'll be a case of City establishing that possession, and then that's when I'll be worried. It's where are they getting with the possession? What are they producing? And if Wolves can't get on the ball, it's going to be difficult anyway. If they can't get on the ball, it's going to be even more difficult.
So what about Wolves then? Wolves are just certainly on the far end. The atmosphere in this stadium is incredible. It's a very, very loud place. Yeah. City will know that. We've had moments here with Adama Traore electrifying the crowd. Pedro Neto can do the same thing.
Yeah.
How important is the 12th man today?
It's massive, but what they have to do is make sure that they do respond to all of the positive actions that the Wolves players do make, and it might be winning a header, it might be winning a clearance, it might be winning a tackle, because there might not be much more than that to jump onto at the start of the game, as you said. And if Wolves can get themselves into the game without conceding, you never know, set pieces and things like you said could be the turning point, could be the difference in the game.
Yeah, absolutely good. It's shaping up to be a lovely game here at Molineux. Before we head back, I want to speak to you, Darius, a little bit about the life of Darius. We understand you're part of the coaching setup here at Wolves.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him. Obviously, off camera, you guys might not know, this man is a bundle of joy. He's hilarious, he has a lot of fun. I imagine it's the same with your coaching.
Of course, yeah. I think Now you've asked me that question now, I can say I came into Wolves about 5 or 6 years ago and worked with the under-13s and under-14s, and the beauty of that job working at Wolves is watching them progress. One of those lads now, that's why I checked the bench, because I wanted to see, he's just been sniffing around the bench at the first team, and I wanted him to play today, but he's not involved. But that's the beauty of the job, watching them progress.
It's so difficult, of course, as an academy player. Manchester City are a great example of it. You can see Oscar Bob behind us, Rico Lewis behind us. How important is it to be there for them when situations like that happen, where they're so close to that bench, not quite made it, and how would they be feeling, when they're so young and they're so ready in their heads to play?
It's exactly that. Emotions will be all over the place, and why wouldn't they? They're young, they've got the world at their feet, they've got this opportunity to be a superstar, a global superstar, and for most, unfortunately, it doesn't work out, and that's the thing. And if you find yourself in a position where you're so close, that's when they're going to need the most support, because small things can be the difference between success and failure, and it's the resilience, the way that you can come through that as a young person, which decides how many games you're going to end up playing. I mean, we've got Jack Grealish behind us there, you know what I mean? He's come through the ranks as well.
What do you remember about coming through the ranks in your career? You had a brilliant career. Of course, we got to see you a lot as well in a sky blue shirt. Like, talk to me about what you remember in your career and when you broke through.
For me, the main thing I remember was the players that were playing ahead of me, how much I was watching them, how much I was trying to learn from them. I had people like Dwight York guiding me, I had people like Dion Dublin playing alongside me and things like that. It's being able to watch them and get the best out of your own game, add those little tools to your game. You watch films like what's the one with the Infinity Stones and all of those? It's like adding all of those to your game and then going out there and being a god. That's the idea. We can't all be gods, but we try.
Well, we will be back post-match. I understand there's a wild Joleon Lescott in the studio. He's got some good coaching experience. Why don't you rate Darius Vassell?
A wild Joleon Lescott in the studio. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means, to be fair.
You're very calm.
Always.
So we're less than 10 minutes away from today's 3 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League against Wolves. If you haven't downloaded the City app yet, do it now. That's where you'll get your full match commentary with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown. And before I get the final thoughts of everybody, there was just a really good question here that had come through on the WhatsApp that I would like to ask the guys. So it says, "Hi Natalie, can you ask them how they would cope with Haaland if they were playing against him and they're not allowed to say kick him like they said against Doku?" So it also says, "Always a great show," from Andy Savage. Thank you, Andy. Right, defenders, how are you dealing with this man?
Well, I tell you, the best I've seen deal with him were Brentford, and the three of them bullied him. I'm not saying they kicked him, but they stood up against him, they barged him, they stopped in his way, they tugged him and stood on him. They didn't kick him, by the way, so just in case, I'm not saying they kicked him, but they upset him. He got a bit angry with them all, and he lost his focus, I think. And those three defenders did a great job. It was the day they beat Manchester City, and that's the best I've seen them. And if I'm playing against him, that's exactly what I do, because he's quicker than me, he's bigger than me, everything else, I'd kick him. So.
Andy, I know you said that he couldn't say that, but you take it up with Mick. I'm letting him say it. Keith?
Again, I don't think all of us being defenders, I don't think you can defend against him individually. It's about being a unit and understanding the spaces that he wants to work in and making sure there's no gaps in between you. And then, like Mick said, what you find with centre forwards is if they get a rough time off of one centre back, they go and play on the other one. But then you've got to be able to stand up for yourself and give him the same treatment as well. So wherever he goes with it, if he's mixing in a back three or back four, he's got to get that physical attention, which is you do get some players that don't like it. You do get some players. I remember playing against Mark Hughes. He loved the physical confrontation. You know, you're going into a game, you think you're playing against a good player, I'm going to give him a smash early. He enjoyed it.
Haaland don't mind it, does he?
No, he doesn't shy away from it at all. So again, I think it's more so about as a unit defending against him rather than as an individual.
Okay, I like that. Joleon?
Yeah, there's not much more to add. Definitely as a unit, but also nullifying the supply. I think the frustrating thing about the Brentford game was, one, they lost, but he didn't get many chances. I think that's when he gets frustrated. I think if he's getting chances, and he tends to score them, but I think if you're nullifying the threat and like taking a space away in the areas he wants to operate in, I think that's when he probably becomes flustered a little bit more, but that doesn't tend to happen. And it's easier said than done, especially sitting here.
Great question, Andy. Thank you so much for that. So we're only a few minutes away from kickoff now. We see the players are starting to head into the tunnel. So the difficult question, I'll go to Keith first. Score prediction for today?
3-0.
Ooh, you said that confidently.
Yeah.
Can we say the same? No.
I need to get on the leaderboard 3-0.
You can say the same if you want, Joleon. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say 4-0. Yeah, and this is a result that I don't, and I'm going to say this, I don't necessarily tend to carry wins because my youngest son is a Wolves fan and my oldest is a City fan, so I can't really select who the outcome of this. But yeah, I'm seeing.
Hey, just get right off the fence. Just get right off the fence there, Joe.
I'm going to say 4-0.
Right, Mick.
I'm up on the fence with me with him because having managed Wolves and I've still got a really good reputation in Wolverhampton. I don't want to lose that, but I can't see them getting it. 2-0 to Manchester City.
Being polite.
I've gone. Yeah, I've been easy on them, to be fair.
You're all super confident. I don't know, like what's giving you that sort of confident edge?
I just think more so the way Wolves are playing than say City. We know how City are going to perform, but Wolves don't look consistent in any area of the field.
Wolves have only done it against Manchester United, and that was in the first game, was it, when they played really well and probably should have got something out of the game. But we've mentioned that. It's easy that. You get up for that one. This one, having just lost to Ipswich in the week, they'll be worried. They will be worried.
Tommy Doyle.
And having to be your best and being able to execute it every moment of every game, like that's what's going to have to happen against Man City. You know you can't. You need 7 or 8 of your players to have their best game.
Did you see Pep's reaction after
you want them all 7 out of 10 at least? Yeah.
Did you see Pep's reaction after the defeat on Wednesday? He wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And again, that can be an inspiration that you walk into the change room with when you know the manager's not happy. You've got to perform.
Gents, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Joleon. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Keith. We'll be back at half-time. Get yourself onto the Manchester City app now for your full match commentary with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown. Right, let's go Blues.
Well, they've found different ways to do it, perhaps.